On the channel Danaya Kuajibo Garib Raz, we will show you the secrets of the world that very few people know. Watch videos about mysterious places, rare animals, ancient history, and strange natural realities. If you are interested in these secrets of the world, then subscribe to our channel and fill your mind with wonders.
Have you ever felt the future is a locked door? That just beyond our perception, the events of tomorrow, next year, or next century are already written, waiting to be read? Throughout human history, we have been obsessed with peeling back the curtain of time, and some believe the key lies not in complex machines, but in ancient, cryptic texts, books of prophecy. Today, we embark on a fascinating exploration. We will delve into the shadows of history to examine three of the most famous and controversial collections of prophetic writings: the enigmatic quatrains of Nostradamus, the terrifying and majestic visions of the Book of Ezekiel, and the ancient mysterious Dead Sea Scrolls. These are not mere stories, they are puzzles etched in time, each claiming a direct line to destiny itself. Let's begin with perhaps the most famous prophet in the Western world, Michel de Nostradamus, known to us as Nostradamus. In the 16th century, a French apothecary and astrologer began a monumental and terrifying project. In the quiet of his study, lit by the flickering flame of a candle, Nostradamus claimed to be entering a trance-like state, gazing into a bowl of water set upon a brass tripod. In these visions, he saw the future unfold: centuries of war, disaster, the rise and fall of mighty leaders. He compiled these visions into a book called Les Prophéties, The Prophecies, published in 1555. The book contains 942 poetic quatrains, 4-line poems, grouped into 10 chapters called Centuries. But Nostradamus was not straightforward. Fearful of the powerful religious authorities of his time, the Inquisition, he deliberately obscured his predictions. He wrote in a mix of French, Greek, Latin, and Provençal. He used anagrams, symbolic language, and avoided specific names and dates. This vagueness is the very source of both his enduring fame and the great skepticism surrounding him. So, what did he predict? Believers have spent centuries decoding his verses, attributing to him an astonishing number of world events. Take Century 1, Quatrain 35. The young lion will overcome the old. On a field of combat in a single fight, he will pierce his eyes through a golden cage. 2 wounds made one, then he dies a cruel death. For many, this is a chillingly accurate prediction of the death of King Henry II of France in 1559. During a jousting tournament, the king's opponent, the young Captain Montgomery, shattered his lance. A splinter pierced the king's visor, his golden cage, and entered his eye and brain. He suffered for 10 days before dying. The young lion, overcoming the old, seemed a perfect fit. Jump to the 20th century. Century 2, Quatrain 24. Beasts ferocious with hunger will cross the rivers. The greater part of the battlefield will be against Hister. He will drag the leader in a cage of iron, when the child of Germany observes no law. Hister is seen as an anagram for Hitler. The beasts ferocious with hunger are interpreted as the armies of the Nazi war machine crossing rivers into neighboring countries. The cage of iron could be the Führerbunker, or perhaps the metaphorical cage of his ideology. And perhaps the most cited modern connection, Century 10, Quatrain 72. The year 1999, 7th month. From the sky will come a great king of terror. To bring back to life the great king of Angolmois, before and after Mars, to reign by good luck. While the specific month of July 1999 passed without a king of terror, many immediately linked this to the 9/11 attacks in 2001. They argue Angolmois is an anagram for Mongolais, suggesting Genghis Khan and a threat from the east, and that Mars, the god of war, fits the subsequent wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. The skeptics' view, however, is crucial. They argue that Nostradamus's quatrains are so vague that they can be applied to almost any major conflict or disaster with a little imaginative twisting. It's a phenomenon called retroactive clairvoyance, where we look back at an event and then find a verse that seems to fit, ignoring the hundreds that don't. Was Hister really Hitler? Or was it a reference to the Danube River, Ister? The King of Terror in 1999 could have been anything: a comet, an asteroid, a nuclear war. When it didn't happen, the goalposts were simply moved. Nostradamus remains a cultural icon, not because he was definitively accurate, but because he taps into our deep desire to find patterns and meaning in chaos. He is a mirror, reflecting our own fears and the events that shape our world, retrofitted into 16th century poetry. If Nostradamus is the ambiguous poet, the book of Ezekiel is the epic, theological visionary. Found in the Hebrew Bible and the Christian Old Testament, this is not a book about prophecy. It is a first-hand account of a prophetic experience, claimed to be the direct word of God. Ezekiel was a priest living in the 6th century BC during a catastrophic period for the ancient Israelites. The Babylonian Empire had besieged Jerusalem, and Ezekiel was among the first wave of exiles forcibly relocated to Babylon. It was by the banks of the Kibar River in this foreign land, in a state of deep despair and hopelessness, that he experienced his first and most stunning vision. The heavens opened, and he saw a great storm wind coming from the north, a massive cloud flashing with lightning and surrounded by brilliant light. At the center of the fire were 4 living creatures. These were not mere angels. They each had 4 faces: that of a man, a lion, an ox, and an eagle. They had straight legs with calves' feet and sparkled like burnished bronze. They moved together in perfect unison, without turning. And beside these creatures was a wheel. But this was no ordinary wheel. It was a wheel within a wheel, its rims full of eyes all around. Wherever the spirit would go, the wheels would go, rising and moving with the creatures, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Above all this was a throne of lapis lazuli, and on the throne was a figure like that of a man, glowing like metal and fire, the glory of God himself. This vision, often simplified as Ezekiel's wheel, was not meant to be a prediction of helicopters or UFOs, as some modern theorists have claimed. In its original context, it was a profound theological message for a broken people. The exiles felt that God had abandoned them, that he was confined to the temple in now distant Jerusalem. Ezekiel's vision shattered that idea. God was not limited to one place. His throne was a mobile chariot, Merkabah in Hebrew, capable of traversing the heavens and the earth. He was with them, even in the heart of their enemy's land. The many eyes symbolized God's omniscience. He saw their suffering. But Ezekiel's book is also filled with more direct and terrifying prophecies. He prophesied the final, complete destruction of Jerusalem for its disobedience. A prophecy tragically fulfilled when Babylon returned to raze the city and its temple to the ground years later. He spoke against foreign nations. And then, in later chapters, he delivered messages of breathtaking hope and restoration, the famous Valley of Dry Bones vision. God transports Ezekiel to a valley full of dry, scattered bones, a metaphor for the hopeless, dead nation of Israel. God asks him, "Son of man, can these bones live?" Ezekiel replies, "Sovereign Lord, you alone know." Then he is commanded to prophesy to the bones. As he does, a rattling sound fills the air, bones come together, sinew and flesh cover them, and breath enters them, creating a vast living army. God explains, "I am going to open your graves and bring you up from them. I will bring you back to the land of Israel." This was a prophecy of national resurrection. It promised that God would not leave them in exile, but would spiritually and physically restore them to their homeland. For later readers, this and other passages in Ezekiel took on a messianic tone, contributing to expectations of a future Davidic king and a restored kingdom, ideas that would shape Jewish and Christian thought for millennia. Ezekiel's prophecies are less about predicting specific future events in a distant timeline, and more about immediate judgment, hope, and the ultimate sovereignty of God over history itself. It is a raw, powerful, and complex text that has provided comfort and theological depth for over 2,000 years. Our third stop takes us to the arid cliffs of Qumran, near the Dead Sea, in the mid-20th century. In 1947, a Bedouin shepherd boy throwing a rock into a cave heard the sound of shattering pottery. What he discovered would become the greatest archaeological find of the modern era, the Dead Sea Scrolls. These were not a single book, but a vast library of over 900 manuscripts and thousands of fragments, hidden in jars and preserved by the dry desert air for nearly 2,000 years. They included copies of every book of the Hebrew Bible, except Esther, making them the oldest surviving biblical manuscripts by 1,000 years. But beyond that, they contained sectarian writings, psalms, rules, and commentaries unique to a mysterious Jewish group most scholars believe were the Essenes. This community had withdrawn from what they saw as a corrupt religious establishment in Jerusalem. They went into the desert to prepare the way of the Lord, living a strict, monastic life of ritual purity and intense study. They weren't just reading prophecy, they were living in it. They believed they were the final generation, the ones who would witness the ultimate culmination of God's plan, a final apocalyptic war between the sons of light, themselves, and the sons of darkness, everyone else.